Music-Board of Germany, I have the opportunity, and thank you for that opportunity, to sit together with Paul Reed-Smith, a guitar builder that loves his job. We've been at a workshop with him, and the way he talks about the product is just enormous. You want to hear the good tone, and that's what you're driven by. So I've been reading a bit about you. You started with a small guitar shop. Now you developed into a factory that is, if I read it correctly, about the size of 220 persons. 280, okay, getting bigger. Might be something new around, but we see.
Complicated, 280 people. It's too
200, it's too complicated, yeah. The first question, because from going from a small guitar shop going up to a factory. In a small guitar shop you need one piece of wood that you found, you make a guitar, and at the end you have one guitar. In a factory, you have to find more wood, and you have to be able to build guitars that sound alike, at least. Where's the challenges in going from small to big?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Most of it's people. So if I was the wood buyer in my old shop, and I would have more than one piece, I had maybe 40 pieces of neck wood and body wood and this, that, the other that I would choose from. We have to hire a wood buyer because I can't do it. You know, obviously now I'm in Germany and there are wood buying issues today, right? So we hired one extraordinary wood buyer and then another one and another one. Now we're at two. And so you have to find really good people, and you have to empower them to do a job, and then you have to trust them. Yep. And my job is to adjust things the way I see necessary in terms of our direction. But I can't tell you how many times the wood buyer said, "I got it. Don't worry about it. Done." And I turn around and it's done. It's done. He's got it handled. He's great. His name's Paul Platz, and his partner is Michael Reed. So I would say most of the challenges are, there are many technical challenges. That's a whole nother story, but a lot of the challenges are with people, you know, to train them and to let go.
Okay, so it remains to be a team, and you have to be happy with your team and also be able to release tasks to them and grab them. We've heard you play music. We're going to see you play music at the Thomann Sommerfest later on. You perhaps know that Jekyll and Hyde scenario, where one is the good guy, the other one is the bad guy. In the same person, he changes personalities frequently. You have to change personality between a musician, loving to play an instrument, as well being basically your own customer, because you want to have the best guitars you can possibly buy for yourself, I would assume. You're a businessman, you have to run a company with 220. How do those separate personalities fight against each other when you have to make a decision as a leader of the company?
The Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde thing is the evil and the good, right? I see it not that way. I see the job with the music to be different than the job with the guitars. But let's say we're playing a song, we want it to be the best it can be, we want the guitar to be the best it can be. There are very similar things about it, right? Gary Granger is our bass player. We want the bass part to be extraordinary, just as you would want the bridge on the guitar or the electronics to be extraordinary in some way, right? So there are very clear relationships here, or similarities. When you ask about changing personalities, it doesn't feel that way to me. What it feels like is, in a way, simpler, the playing of the music, because there are not 20 meetings every day about different subjects. The meetings that we had, and we had one this morning, what was the set list going to be? We had a meeting last night about we had a sectional with the 3 guitar players to make sure we were doing the right thing. We had a meeting about, we changed a little at the beginning of the set, but it's all about the same thing with the music. there will be business meetings at some point if the band ever does anything, but it's not as complicated as with the guitar making, because there are so many pieces of the guitar making. You've got the amount of monies that you're owed, which are the receivables, and there are the payables, the money you owe people. There are all the employees, the training of the employees, the wood buying, the bridge making, the pickup making. I mean, it just goes. The list is literally like 80 things long, where the band is not such a long list.
Even the guitar itself is like more than 20 to 25, as we learned in the workshop.
Of different things that have an impact on its sound and feel. Yes, sir. But the same thing with the band in some ways. But we're always honing it. So I don't see it as a big personality change, but I do see it as they have different joys, they have different pains, they have different troubles, they have different relationship issues. As guitar makers, we work together all day long. With musicians, there's this 40-minute set that you're going to play, and you prepare all day for this 40-minute set, and then you have to 10 minutes to get ready because there's just a line check today, and then we have to play, and then there's a lot of travel to get here and a lot of travel to go home. It's a different game. I love making guitars, as you saw today, but there's nothing in my heart other than my relationships with my family that touch the kind of feelings that I have when we play music on a good day. Now, if you have a bad day playing music, you'll want to cry. It's not good.
Well,
as you understand.
I do understand, but I play golf as well, and you might know the one from golf, which is basically the same as in music. Any bad day on a golf course is better than a good day in the office.
You believe that?
No.
I don't. A really bad day on a golf course, you want to go kill it. You want to quit. A bad day at work, you just go home, dust yourself off, and go to work the next day. Yeah. There's an expression around fishing. A bad day fishing is better than a good day at the office. Yeah. I might buy that one. When we have troubles amongst ourselves in the band, real troubles, it's painful because we're so close. We're so deeply close. It's the same thing with work, too. I mean, real troubles between people at work, it's painful. So I see a lot of similarities, not differences, except playing music is an extraordinary art form. Making guitars is an extraordinary art form, but the management of making the guitars is a very interesting event. Yep. And I imagine that touring bands have the same kinds of similarities that a factory would have. We're not at the level where we're a touring band.
Yeah, I guess that's the same basically for any organization, that people from the outside see the performance or see the end product, the guitar, have got no imagination of how much dry stuff, not that artful work, is behind it to make it work. And we're talking about accountants putting money from A to B and so on, which is stuff that you wouldn't consider to be a form of art.
They're all forms of art, yeah.
Basically they are,
yeah.
But from the outside point of view, it's not that shiny.
Right. So we have an open house, just as Thomann's having an open house, where people come and they see the insides. Come and see our factory. It would be a joy to have you there, and you can see the same thing.
Actually, we are trying to make that happen because we're talking to Detlef and Gavin. I'm following you tomorrow, an hour after you. If our plane is a bit faster than yours, we might arrive in Washington the same time. We're going to stay in...
American plane and you're on a German plane, or is it...
No, you fly a 777 most likely, and we fly a jumbo jet. So that is slightly faster than a 777.
There's a difference in the speed.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's especially if you compare like a jumbo jet to an Airbus 340, you save Frankfurt, LA, you save about an hour 20 flying the jumbo. Yeah. So jumbo jet still remains to be the fastest passenger plane. If they use it in these economical days, the full power, we don't know. And it's also a question about what is the situation at Washington, what is my slot time, at what time can I arrive, stuff like that. You'll be going into the jet stream. The 4 engines help going into the jet stream. But anyway, we're going to stay in Annapolis. and we're trying to figure a way. And we heard that Tuesday is a pretty busy day at the factory, so we're trying to escape towards Wednesday and stay in the area, and make a visit at the factory happen immediately after our chat.
And I'll be there in the evenings each day. So I'll be gone during the day, but I'll be in the evenings, and so maybe we can have dinner. That would be good.
That would be highly appreciated, because I think there's plenty more we can chat about and talk about. You have to do some preparations for the musical part. One final question is, I've seen a YouTube video of you showing the potential of recreating an old guitar. I think it was a Les Paul versus a real Les Paul, and people were asked to see if they can find out the difference between the one that PRS made and the one that was the original.
That's not exactly how I want you to tell you the whole story.
I take the whole story afterwards, but I put my question first and then you put the story end. The question is if you can do that. The aging process of a guitar doesn't seem to be a factor for you. Is there a specific reason for not doing that?
When you take and you distress a brand new guitar,
Yep.
you've put a war wound in a baby.
I accept that portion.
Okay, you're putting war wounds in babies. We didn't make guitars in 1958 and 1959.
Yeah.
So to us to imitate something we would have done when we were in diapers doesn't make any sense to me. We've done some distressed guitars. We could do it. We have decided to let the customers distress them. They do distress. I sign guitars all the time at clinics that look like older guitars. You know.
Yeah.
I don't completely understand your question, but I think I've begun to answer it. So
You started, I finished the question. In case that potential distressing of a guitar makes the guitar sound better, that's at least what they're trying to sell the customer as well. It sounds more open, it's better, the lacquer is able to breathe, the wood, all that stuff. In case that would be true, somebody that is hunting for the ultimate tone would be in the same boat. So obviously you find a different way around it to make your guitar resonate with the lacquer that you have.
All right, so let's go down the path. The theory is if you distress the paint, the guitar is going to sound better. I have a different theory.
Okay.
The strength of something goes up by the square, x to the 2, of its thickness. So the thicker the paint, the more damaging it is to the sound of the guitar. The thinner the paint, the less damaging. So we try to make our paints ultra thin. Okay? 1. That, in my opinion, has more effect than if you distress it. 2, how much rubber is in the paint has an effect. Now, a lot of these distressed guitars, they use finish that cracks, which has very little rubber in it, which is good. That's really good. But if you sent it cracked, the dealer would send it back. But if you send it cracked and you mess it all up, then it's okay, which is, okay, that's an interesting point, an interesting way to look at it. So, in my opinion, the thickness of the material and the kind of material have more impact than whether you got your keys out and beat the crap out of it, in my opinion. We've done a lot of experimenting with this, and I believe that to be true. So, how much paint's on it, and what kind of paint is it? How dry is the wood before you painted it?
Mm-hmm.
How dry is the wood 5 years after you painted it?
Yeah.
Are the resins crystallized? Look, if you take all the paint off the guitar and then the guitar can dry more and it wasn't dry when it was made, then 5 years later it will sound better if the wood is more dry. But what if we dried it really well before we painted it? You know, so we bake our wood, bake it. We bake it, paint a huge amount of heat over a very long period of time, as if it has gone through 35 summers and winters.
Alrighty.
So we pre-age the wood really, so that it can resonate as much as it can. So I have my own theories.
Okay. So, but basically, you found the magician trick to make it sound old and big because it's dry enough, it can resonate, it has all the positive effects already.
Yeah, I don't see it as a musician's trick.
No, it's a bird. Okay.
I see it's a musician's trick. We're hiding in the wide open. We're telling everybody
sure.
we overdry the woods. We're telling everybody we're using really hard finishes. We're telling everybody we use really thin finishes. We're telling everybody we're doing this stuff that we think has a positive impact on the guitar. So it's a magician's trick if we tell nobody. But as you saw, we've decided to tell everybody.
Yeah, true.
Which is not a trade secret. When a magician does a trick, it's a trade secret how he did it, right?
True.
I actually think I have an idea. How David Copperfield went through the Great Wall of China. I actually have an idea how he did it, but
No, that trick wasn't supposed to be any sort of hidden trick, but it's just the method of which way or which path works as well. And it works good
Fair
for
enough,
you
yeah.
because you found the technology
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah, we
and
see
you
it as
do it
physics.
with thin lacquer,
Yeah.
and you're able to sell a product that's not damaged when you sell
that would be and maybe we should do it. Maybe we should. I'm gonna look straight at the camera. Maybe we should distress the guitars. Maybe we would sell more. Maybe we're making a mistake, but I don't think so.
No. It keeps your standpoint. It keeps what PRS stands for.
How about if I get my guitar and you tell me whether you would fill it full of dings? Can I go get it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let me just get by. See, this makes it fun. So here's the question. Would you fill this guitar full of dings? You really want me to take and throw this onto the concrete?
Not really. But the same would apply for my own personal PRS. And on the same note, I must say I also have a distracted old Strat. So,
Okay, fine.
but it, basically from
You
the
have
point
a
of
distressed new Strat or distressed old Strat?
old and new,
You have both. Okay,
Yeah.
great. I don't really want to put this full of holes. It's beautiful.
I accept that point.
Okay.
And I have no doubt that it will sound as good as it can possibly do because you put all your energy in there
If I
to
sand-
make it sound good.
If I
If
sand
it
half
would
the-
sound better without, you might think of, let's try something different.
Finish was not invented to make guitars sound better.
No,
Finish
just to
was
protect them.
invented to keep the sweat off it and to make it more beautiful. Okay? If I sand 3/4 of the finish off this guitar, I guarantee it'll sound different. Whether it sounds better or not, we have an argument about because
Sure.
we've put these guitars together with no finish. They tend to be more mid-rangey.
Okay.
And I don't know if mid-rangey is good or bad. But that beautiful tone that I was getting was not so mid-rangey. It was very spread out sounding.
Yeah, and it remains a personal touch or
Touch.
what you.
But I
want to
think this
add.
is beautiful.
But
So
I agree. I completely agree. That one is beautiful.
yeah.
And I assume you're going to use it on stage later on. So we're going to hear the beautiful sound.
Maybe we should
plus.
put some holes in it. I'm kidding.
No, don't do it.
See, now
It
you
wouldn't
just-
justify
now you
the guitar.
decided not to do it. That's exactly see, when you start to look at it that way, no, don't do it. I'd rather have it this way. But
The initial question was, what would happen if it would be practical for better tone? to
we would do it all day long.
You would do it all day long.
Oh,
right?
God, yes.
So, and that is basically the outcome of this. You are convinced, and which is true from hearing the instruments, that with the process you're using, you achieve the best level already. So there's
That's-
no need to go a step further.
That would be the idea. And the other thing is, if you're going to distress it, do it through its natural wear. Don't put a war wound in a baby. Let the war wound be in the old man or the old the old woman. I much better to me.
All right.
I mean, I earned my scars. Let the guitar earn its scars.
True.
Yeah. By the way, I played an old guitar the other day. Had a big hole in the back of the neck because somebody obviously ran into a cymbal or something.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it needed to be filled because it felt bad when you played it. But to fill it hurts its value, which is a whole nother ball game. And to play the instrument regularly, it would need that hole filled.
Yeah.
So, it's been an honor to be here.
Yeah,
I'll see you at the
fine.
factory.
Thank you.
Thank you
Very
very much.
much.
That was fun.